Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. My name is Jay Boris or Indigo, and we are here for Code Racing Action League for Code Action Racing League for Tier 1 for the round 15 of the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. And today, I'm joined by the one and only Scotty slash Freefall.
How are we doing tonight, Jamie? Pleasure to be in the comms box once again for Tier 1, and always a pleasure to be in alongside a legend like yourself, mate.
Oh, thanks very much, mate. This is bringing me back to Tier a few seasons ago, back in F1 2021, and it's so glad to reunite you with you. But we swap roles now. I'm the main, and you're the co-commentator. Obviously, Stevan is unwell tonight. Hopefully, he gets well soon. And thank you for Stevan and Leon for taking over after me for the Mexican Grand Prix, which I dearly missed as well. It looks like an interesting Grand Prix the way things turned out, with quite a few DNFs on the board, with already taking the lead with Leo in P2. It was an P1 and 2, so that was a strong result, and not a result Tony would like to see, because he was our championship leader last week, but this week this favour has swung towards Aurelian, and he leads Tony now 22 points with 2 rounds left to go, all to play for the championship. Tony now at a disadvantage, who's got a lot of work on his hands tonight, hasn't he, Scotty?
Oh, absolutely. Aurelian had a mighty display in Mexico last week, Jamie, taking 36 of the 37 points. Of course, the sprint race as well. He won that. He won the feature race, just missed out thanks to the efforts of Rezify, who finished P12 on the fastest lap. And speaking of Tony, Jamie, he is going to be our first runner of the lap time tonight, so I'll hand you back across, because you are the man in the know when it comes to riding on board and giving us lap time descriptions.
So taking a lot of curb, it's T1 and T number 2 as well, getting on the throttle, make sure you get traction as well as he upshifts through the gear now towards turn number 4. Make sure you don't hit that inside curb. You want to hit it, but not hit the wall, obviously. And you can see upshifted immediately to 6th gear. Then I see experiments with the throttle to see when he can get on with it, and making sure he uses all the track but not too much of it. Downshifted to 5th gear to get the extra rotation, making the car turns in, and it's going to be a 32.3 in the first set. It's a bit of movement going on towards turn number 13 on the edge towards it, so not really what it wants to do. He wants to position the car in a precise moment to turn in, and now we're making our way through the right-hander. This is very easy to hit that inside wall. You can see he actually touched the outside wall going into it, but nevertheless he still makes the corner nevertheless and didn't make contact with it. This is the second DRS zone on this straight. There used to be 4, but now it's 3, I think, and we reach about speeds of 330 kilometers an hour. Turn number 21, we saw Mick Schumacher and Charles Leclerc actually crash there as well, and Mick Schumacher caused the safety car, which changed a lot of things in that race at 2021. And we saw down at this corner here, turn number 27, the final corner can be very difficult to get wrong. And as he turns in there, make sure to hit the inside wall like Lando Norris did, scrapes the outside wall. DRS enabled for the final sector as I make our way towards the line. It's a 27.8 for Tony's first lap time, and I dare say it could be improved a little bit more, but decent lap time on the board so far. Second place goes towards Leo, and there's a Williams behind us, and that is Kyle in P2. That's a good effort from there from Kyle, so it's a Williams 1-2. Then Kyle makes his return as second consecutive turnout for him. Rezify goes quickest with a 27.8, a few hundreds quicker than Tony in P2 then, so early lap times got on the board, but I presume most people have it validated because we only got 4 lap times on the board, and it's been about 3-4 minutes now. But Julian goes quickest in P1 with a 27.8, only just beating Rezify as well, and Tony for good measure, so lap times coming in despite the difficulty of this track.
Yeah, 3 solid bankers in there at the top. Aurelian joins them up there in the 27.8s. That's 4 already with the bankers rotation up to the line just shortly beforehand. A 28.0 for him. I'm expecting, Jamie, we're going to see some maybe low 27s, maybe even creeping into the 27.0s if somebody can get a brilliant lap together. But a solid performance so far in qualifying from these drivers. It is, like you say, such a tricky technical track where not just a mistake, it can lead you into the walls, it can lead you into validation, a bit of damage, and what a banker that is from FVR Jeroen already. A 27.496 from the Alpha Tauri driver. Midfield Jeroen at times this season, but he's showing he's still got the pace to mix up with the big boys at the top there, Jamie.
Yeah, indeed, and now you say, Nelly Safu has lost his wing there, so he'll be making a trip towards the pits. But now you say that though, Jeroen Visser, if I remember correctly, a few seasons ago and the 2021 game, he was quite quick around here in Saudi Arabia. But I think his pace was amazing. But something must have happened during that race because I don't think he actually won it in the end. I think a late safety car came out which ruined his chances of winning the race. I can't remember which race it was. Maybe it was this league if I remember correctly. But his pace is amazing around here in Saudi Arabia. So I'm not surprised to see him at the top of the timing sheets. 4/10 clear of Julian in P2. Dutch 1-2 so far, and there's Kenny out there, but he's not on a lap time, so he must have made a mistake somewhere out there. He's not invalidated either, so must have spun. We did see yellow flags in that first sector. It must have been for Nelly Safu as he spun and possibly hit the wall as well. So we've got 6 drivers who haven't set a lap time on the board. Stoker's one of them, but unfortunately he's invalidated too. We've got Kenny out there not on a lap time. We've got Walter on an outlap as well, along with Jasper in P20. So we've still got a few drivers to set a lap time on the board, including the main one from Walter as well, who's, I don't know, his season's gone up and down because it looks like he was returning for a bit after winning consecutive races, but it looks like the last few races hasn't really hasn't gone his way as he would have hoped so. So let's see what he could do here tonight outside the Arabia. It's going to be quite difficult, especially being on the controller as well, which I know Walter's on. So let's see what he has here. He's a talented driver we've seen plenty of times, but yeah, in the last few races something's just gone wrong, and it's either been Aurelian or Tony who's managed to pick up the pieces as well. So P18 there for Walter, got a lot of work to do in this qualifying session. Only 3 drivers out there on the circuit, with his Jasper, Walter, and somebody just got into the pit lane as well. So let's go on board with Walter then, as seeing he's one of the few drivers out on track, with Troye in P6 just further behind coming towards that final corner then. So let's see how he approaches turn number 1. You can see they're almost reaching 340. I think Tony was reaching 333 on the straight there in turn 1, so you can just see the difference in downforce settings between the two. And coming out of turn number 3 now, let's see how he takes turn number 4, so indicating that he's carrying less downforce than the rest of them. I didn't get the best line through there either, coming through the first part of the sector through the corners there, and you can see they're attacking the corners. You didn't really have the downforce, bit of hesitation going into that one as well. Here's turn 12, uses all the curb on the exit. There's an Aston Martin just ahead of us who gets out of the way. 32.3 in that first sector, headed down to turn number 13. Then the car looks like it's rotating very nicely. Just be patient on the throttle because it's tempting to get on there quickly as you can, but the car will end up spinning if you don't get it at the right time. Then flick it into the right hander, avoiding the wall, using all the curb on the entry as well. You can see somebody's actually spun in the wall as well, because you can see skid marks on the tyres on the track. But yeah, whoever that was, looks like they lost the whole wing. I think that might have been Nelly Safu. Jasper's got into P11 there, coming into turn number 22 and turn number 3 then. Decent run coming into those 2 corners now, with the DRS wide enabled yet again then, as we make our way on the third DRS zone. 335 kilometers an hour he was able to take through there, and now we're coming into the final corner and really hook the inside curve, or get as close to the wall as he possibly could. So a little bit wide through there, but let's see then what he does across the line now. It's going to be a 27.9, and it puts him into P7 then, just behind Troye.
Yeah, solid lap from, of course, a former champion here in CRL. And like you say, his season, he had back-to-back wins, of course. I believe it was, if I'm right, it was the USA Grand Prix and, not the Netherlands, sorry. It was USA and Hungary back-to-back. That might not be 100%. No, Portugal and the USA. Sorry about that, Jamie. And then, of course, a podium in Singapore. But it's been the races in between, 17th, 18th. It has been an up-and-down season for our previous champion here. And, of course, something for the record books. Once again, Jamie, we've touched on it very briefly. A new champion will be crowned at some point, maybe tonight, maybe next week, in the form of Aurelian or Tony. But Walter, yeah, just struggling a bit there. Tony struggling on his second run and validating through the first sector. So not going the best for the William drivers' second run, trying to find them 4.5 tenths or so just to break down to Jeroen's time. Jeroen on an outlap once again to try and improve again, rectifying P3s and validated, as has Julian. Aurelian then, the only ones of the top 5 still out there running on his second run. So really just showing how these guys are pushing the absolute limits around this track. And you're speaking about setups there, Jamie. it's quite a backwards track in that sense. You think there's a lot of bends, there's a lot of twists and turns, you need a high downforce. These guys will be running pretty low wings, and substituting that with the mechanical grip of their suspension and really dialing that in, it could be key. Aurelian then, a quarter of a second up at the end of the second sector. A little bit of traffic on the run down to turn 27, but he keeps it nice and tidy, nice and clean, and might even got a little bit of a tool round the final corner then, and it's just a straight run down to the line for Aurelian, and he takes P2. 800s of Jeroen at this stage. Of course, Jeroen's first lap, Aurelian second, and Jeroen's just about to start his second run. I'll be keeping an eye on that one, Jamie.
Yes, indeed, and only, yeah, like you said, 800s away as Kyle in the Williams goes P4, but rotation takes provisional pole away from Jeroen Visser with a 27.3 then, so the McLaren driver out of nowhere just managed to put it on pole position. I remember in Austria he was struggling quite a lot in that McLaren, suffering with understeer, but he's found a good setup tonight to balance it. Tony invalidated the first sector, he looked like he was 4/10 up as well, according to the data there on the top right then, so rotation currently on pole position then, but as we come in towards the ending stages qualifying, Jeroen's 1/10 up in the first sector, so keep an eye on him, keep an eye on all the drivers, including Leo too, in P4. I mentioned Kyle as well, because Kyle switches to the wheel. Oh, Jeroen there just hit the wall coming out of that fast left hand. I can't exactly remember the corner numbers, of course, if that was turn 16, I'm quite sure what that was, but he just tapped the wall, just got away with it, no damage. 2/10 up as well in that middle sector, so if he keeps flying like this, or demote rotation down into P2. But let's see what Jeroen Visser could do on this straight then, as he approaches now towards that final corner, running low on fuel, so he only fueled that car for one lap, as it were, as he's making his way towards the final corner now. DRS should be enabled then, and let's see what lap time Jeroen could say. Set, is it going to be pole again? Yes it is, with a 27.1, and he's almost 2/10 clear of rotation in P2, so you predicted it there, Scott. We're down into the 27s, low 27s.
I think, and you factor in, we've still got 5 minutes, 6 minutes almost of track evo to come here, Jamie. Though, by the sounds of it, I wasn't watching once you took over, but there seemed to be a little bit of contact with the wall there. Jeroen is flying here tonight, and dare I say it, I'm hopeful. You know me, always the optimist. 26 maybe on the cards, who knows? We'll wait and see with that. Posh Evans, formerly known as Joshua Evans, managed to bump his Red Bull up to P12 with a 27.997. He'll be slightly disappointed with that, I would say, Josh. A driver that has got pace. Again, another one that's maybe been off the boil here and there. Hoping to get a solid end to the season. Meanwhile, two drivers still to set a lap time. Kenny, down in P20, looks to be on his first proper sort of run, but then the red light is flashing on that rear of Mercedes, so not too sure with that. Sieb, though, is about to start his first run of the night then for the Aston Martin, and see where this man can put his car. He is a man definitely got the pace to compete up near the top. Definitely at some tracks, and they'll be hoping for a good result tonight on the streets of Jeddah. Turn 4, I believe it is then, 5 and 6. I said this on Monday night in Tier 4, Jamie, when you're commentating a lap time, you try and not focus too much on the corner numbers, because you just end up like a bingo machine, shouting out numbers for the sake of it. Through the first sector then for Sieb, and it's going to be a 32.398. Not too bad there at all, especially for his first time lap. The long left-hander, of 13 reminds me a little bit of Spoon from Suzuka, and then of course you've got these twists, 14, 15, 16 the right-hander, 17 the left-hander, and then you've got the bends on the DRS straight. Never before, Jamie, this circuit have we ever had DRS bends, but we have them now here in Jeddah, and he's going to use as much of that DRS to maximise that straight line speed before the left and right. Purple sector 2 according to the graphic, of course. Don't take that for gospel here. And then the final DRS, if you discount the first, I like to count the first one as the start-finish straight, up to then 27, technically 26 there, but 27 the final corner where it matters all together. And where can the Aston Martin driver put his car on this first run? He just might have enough time to get another one, and he puts it into the pits, Jamie. Obviously not happy with that time.
And with 3 minutes and 30 seconds left to go on the clock, He knows he's got one more lap time left in the bag then, so Steve there at a massive disadvantage along with Kenny there, not putting a lap time on the board. So if they mess up this last run, that's P19 or P20, depends which one of them gets a lap time on the board then. So yeah, desperate times for desperate measures there for Steve and Kenny, and Delano down in P18 as well, so not looking good for Aston Martin so far. So hopefully they find some pace to put their cars at the forward end of the timing sheets. But we've got Tony, I think, on another lap time coming towards the end of the first sector, where he validated last time as well. What is that, 1/10 up? I can't really see because the on-air view is coming up with people popping in, so I think that was a 10th up, but we'll see then as he makes his way now towards the right-hander, this left-hander first, then the right-hander, and coming into this left-hander once again, but he takes too much curb, Tony, and invalidates his lap time now. I think he's got enough fuel in the car to go for a potential flying last run. He hasn't got the time to do so if you're going to dive in the pit lane, so no, he can't do that. So his lap slap then is all that matters. I know Tony likes to go out first because he was the first guy to go out there on his first flying lap then, so he's one of the guys that likes to go very early, pull the trigger early, just in case he makes a mistake on one of his flying laps and therefore has the fuel because he... What's happened?
Just sorry to jump in there, Jamie. I was on board with Resify 2.5 times up through the second sector. He came round the right-hander to get onto the final DRS straight, and what did he find? The Williams of Tony in front of him. That's no front wing for Resify. That's likely a visit to the steward's office for Tony, and a potential impeding of a hot lap for the Ferrari driver, who was a quarter of a second up, looking to get into those top 3 places, into the pits for him, and that'll be qualifying over for the Ferrari of Resify.
Oh dear. So what did you see? Did you see that was a clear block from Tony, like?
Yeah, Resify coming round the right-hander before the long DRS straight. There was the Williams on the left-hand side. He on the racing line. Resify decided to pull to the right to try and get by him, and Tony trying to move out of the way himself, and the two of them just trying to go for the same space, and it looked as if maybe Tony not quite aware the car was coming behind him, and the two doesn't go into one, as they like to say, Jamie, and I think that could be a clear-cut impeding. And speaking of impeding qualifying, Tony's is done and dusted with that invalidation.
So our championship contender then in P2 is at the wrong end of the pecking order. Look at his rotations, validated at turn number 2, and he's taking way too much curb there, his rotation. That was time 50 seconds then, so that's it for rotation. He is out of qualifying by turn number 2 then, so barely got going, but we've got Kyle making his way towards the line now as he's about to start his last flying lap then. So where's O'Reilly? He's coming down towards the final corner then to start his last flying run. I want to keep an eye. There's quite a queue going on down at the final sector. Hopefully they don't get involved because we've got some cars on a flying lap. It seems one of them in the Aston Martin to join that queue of traffic. And we've got an Alfa Romeo that's got a problem down at turn number 12. He's stationary. That's Julian. Julian, unfortunately, is out of the qualifying session then. So I did see an Alfa Romeo on the map, and Leo's gone as well. Did he crash too, or was that in the pit lane? I'm not quite sure. We've got Delano making his way towards the line. Where's he going to put that Aston Martin? It's a 10th up, but it's P16 only for him. Oh, there's a Williams in front of us. I was above with Leroy. He's gone for a full 360 there. Was that Kyle or Tony? That was Kyle who went for a full 360, unfortunately, at turn number 13. And unfortunately, that lap time is ruined then. So where's O'Reilly on the track? He's invalidated it. No pole position there for O'Reilly then. So that's his chances done and dusted. And our main contenders, where are they? We've got Troy out there, also validated. So in the last part of qualifying, Scott, seeing quite a few people, including Jeroen, but he's on pole position anyway, has validated it.
The highest contender, if you're looking on the left-hand side of your screen there, folks, the highest driver, P11, Wouter. Everybody else in front of him has either had a spin or invalidated. So, could it be an outside chance from P11 at this late stage for the man in the Mercedes on a track that is notoriously difficult for the pad? Well, maybe not pole if he can't get it all together, but he'll definitely be looking at a couple of times here and there to try and bump that car up. Although saying that, I've just told a load of nonsense. I didn't realise he's 22 seconds off his pace, so it won't be him. Nathan in P13 then, he's coming up to the line. Looking at the graphic, seems to be a quarter of a tenth up on his time. He jumps up to P7 for the Alpha Tauri, joining his teammate who is P1. Delano coming up to the line, I think will be the last of our runners on a lap. Of course, Tier 2 reserve until recently, brought up to the Tier 1 reserve after a string of good performances, and it's not going to be any improvement judged by that time. And Jamie, as they say, that is all she wrote. Qualifying over.
Yeah, those 18 minutes do go quick indeed. I remember commenting Tier 1 and before you know it, it's down to 0 seconds. So qualifying does go super quick, and as you can see there, Jeroen Visser getting a lap when he needed it and puts the AlphaTauri on pole ahead of rotation, or reeling there in a comfortable P3, has an advantage over Tony who's in P10. So a lot of work to do from the Williams driver there in P10 if he wants to reduce that deficit, because he's been leading the championship most of this season, but in the last race he just got taken away with it, with Aurelien on the rise. Leo in P4 doing an outstanding job once again as the Alpine there. Maybe he can help his teammate, depends if Tony's along his rear. We've got Carl in P5 there, he outqualified his Williams teammate. We've got Troy in P6, Nathan in P7, Julian in P8 in the Alfa Romeo, Rezify in P9, Bompier, our last week's podium sitter, in P3 in P11, Walter P12. Both Red Bulls there line up together with P13 and P14. Sieb, Jasper, Lenny Safu, Delano, Leroy and Kenny then. So Carl is not here tonight, so that's why Snoken, the Swedish driver, has replaced him. And unfortunately Kenny there in P20, the only man that didn't get a lap time on the board, unfortunately, there, so he's got a lot of work to do in the race if he has the race pace. So let's hope it all works out for him and the Mercedes there, just struggling to get a lap together around Jeddah, which is no surprise around here as it's got 27 corners and such a difficult track. Every corner you take, you're on the edge all the time with the walls coming thick and fast at you, carrying the speed you have to try and get the best possible lap time as well. So no surprise, it's a difficult circuit around here, Scott. And now as we head into the race, then hopefully Scott is still here. Are you?
I'm sorry, I'd muted my mic there just to check some stats and I forgot to unmute. I was sitting talking to you. I was waffling on basically saying, you get to the level of this grid that we've got here, Jamie, speaking as a long-standing member of the community, like yourself, you know, we've been here commentator, I'm lucky enough to be part of the admin team run this league, and the speed here is crazy. I can't fathom how these guys manage to go so quick and so consistent when you're pushing the boundary like they do. There's bound to be little mistakes creep in, whether that be in validations or in a circuit like this, hitting the wall. Crucial thing there, just to expand on what you're saying, Jamie, this championship battle is it's phenomenal. 22 points separate them, of course. There's 31 total available tonight, 30 for the win, 1 for fastest lap. That leaves another 31 available next week. Aurelien goes into this evening, 22 ahead, meaning if he can outscore Tony by 9 or more points, I believe it is 9 points, because he would win an account back, he wins the title. And to put that into context, Jamie, Aurelien wins, Tony comes P3, and with fastest lap, Aurelien wins the title tonight. That is how crucial this race is for both of these drivers.
And recently in the last few races, Aurelien has had the upper hand on Tony, so it looks like Tony then has to pull out some performance, or hope that Aurelien has a problem here tonight to keep his championship chances alive, because it looks like Tony was led most of the way, but Aurelien there slowly each race closing down the gap. And in the last race at the Mexican Grand Prix, Tony actually retired, which cost him a huge amount of points, as Aurelien there was able to take a massive leapfrog ahead of him and win the race with Leo in P2 as well. So both Alpines there doing a really good job there of getting the 1-2, with Bompier in P3, get his first podium in the first time since the last few races. I can't actually remember which one it was. Was it the Dutch GP? I can't actually remember, but yeah, it was the Dutch GP, as I'm looking at the results as well. So he was holding off Kenny for the battle of the podium in P3 and P4, because Kenny was so much quicker, but Bompier just kept it behind and he put up a good defence against Kenny. But yeah, both drivers there, Bompier and Kenny, doing a lot of work. Leroy, unfortunately, down there in P19. He had a very good showing at the Austrian Grand Prix. He was in the lead, for the fight for the lead, but unfortunately, the late safety car came out, and penalties he sustained as well in that race dropped him all the way down the field than he should have been. But let's see if he can recover this one in P19 there. Who else is surprised? Yeah, quite a few surprises down there. So we've got Walter at P12. So can he try and recover his way back from P12 to get to where he normally is? But my standouts for me in this one I dare say rotation, Leo and Kyle there. I think first time we saw Kyle was at the first GP, and he was at the bottom of the grid because he was still sorting out his pedals, just adjusting them to his liking, and plus he had a problem with them too. So it's nice to see him up there in P5 in the Williams. He was at the Red Bull last time out as well. He came to he showed up in USA. But I didn't even check the tyre strategies. There's loads of comments popping in, so I apologise about that. But Scott, before the lights go out, anything you want to say?
No, I just again, just to add on what you're saying, rotation really has impressed me here tonight. Rotation, a driver, I'd like to say I know fairly well, and to me, he is it's either fire or ice, as you could say. It's either absolute phenomenal or he has a disastrous timing. It's looking like it's going to be the first of those options tonight, with an impressive showing in qualifying. Leroy again, and Tony, to add to that, maybe drivers you're expecting to be on the down foot, of course. Pad for both of those, it is more of a wheel track, but they've got the ability and the pace to mix it up here, and it's nothing really to put out there. Nathan, solid performance in qualifying from the AlphaTauri. He's not had the best of seasons, maybe struggled for consistency at time, but certainly P7 on a track that he's maybe not, I know personally speaking to him, he's not the favourite at, particularly that first sector. Something to be happy with. But Jamie, they are lining up on the grid, and I think the honours are all yours.
Nathan, Jacob, Dragon on Speed, Spider Rob, hello to you all in the chat. Apologies, I'm trying to read your comments, but there's been so much action flurrying around the circuit with all 20 drivers there trying to get the best lap times. But we've got the lights then for round 15 here in Jeddah, and the lights are out there. Let's see who gets a better start. We've got Jeroen there, got a bit of wheel spin with the Alpine, comes straight through on the McLaren as we make our way down into turn number 1. They're almost 3 abreast there, with all really trying to stick it down the inside. So 3 abreast with the AlphaTauri, Alpine and the Ferrari. Is this going to be a 2021 situation where Sergio Perez and Charles Leclerc hit the wall? I think Perez hit the wall because he got squeezed there, but no, they all make it out. All 3 of them there, just further down with Tony fighting alongside Nathan. Interestingly, Tony's on the medium compound tyres too, to point it out, and he stays behind Nathan then. So Nathan actually got him back, but in the first set, it looks like Nathan there went offline, and he's struggling there to well, get in the rhythm, but Tony's all over the back of him there. As you can see, just further ahead, that was Troye who was swerving left and right. As Nathan goes deep into turn number 13, will he get swallowed up by the Alfa Romeo? No, he does not. Further behind, we've got Reservoir versus Kyle. Kyle has lost 5 places. Troye's lost a place towards Leo. They're going side by side there. Leo's out of shape, but thankfully does not hit the wall. And now he's got Tony for company right behind then. So this has helped Tony get back into play, but they go side by side now, both trying to drain the battery because Tony's desperate there to get ahead of the hard runners, and he gets squeezed against the wall. They both make contact, and this is not what Tony needs. And there's an AlphaTauri. This is all gone to oh yeah, there's a massive crash. I don't know what to say about that one. A huge crash there. I dare say impatience was the reason why that happened, because Nathan's lost his front wing as yeah, I don't know what to say about that one.
Yeah, big incident. Julian out of this race on lap 1. Full course safety car in effect. It was such a good start as well off the line. I was riding on board with Tony as 5-second penalties creeping in for Nelu Safu and Kenny for ignoring yellow flags, it looks like. But back to that point, Tony, I was riding on board. Lightning start of the lights up to P7 by turn number 2, and then trying to go side by side with Nathan through that first sector didn't quite work together. Further down the field, Delano and Leroy, I believe it was, having a little bit of a coming together under turn 13. Leroy, and he's my co-commentator on a Monday night, and I hate to do this, resetting to track, obviously not the best way to do it. Frustrations creeping in. You know, head admin badge, Jamie, I've got to enforce it sometimes, and then just pure chaos in the second part of the lap. But a lap 1 safety car, we have got what is that, near enough half the field into the pits, P10 all the way down into the pits. This could be good for maybe Tony, potentially, if a late safety car. He's done his mediums, he's onto the hards. The hards can near enough, of course, go the full race distance here, Jamie. They're not going to be pacey for the full race distance, mind you, but they can go that distance, and it gives him a little variety to get back into this. And realistically, he started P10, he's back in P10, so not all hope's over. But then you look at the man who's up the top, Aurelian, the championship rival.
Yeah,
leading and doing everything he can do.
Yeah, Orinin, they're doing a fantastic job getting past both of them. He had much better start than the rotation, was able to go alongside. Giroud there was just further ahead. If he was in between, he'd be in a difficult position with one car to his left and one to the right there, but he just get rotation behind. And Orinin there snatched the lead away from Giroud with a lightning start as well, and on the hard compound tyres. I was aboard with Giroud actually because I had a terrible view of where the camera put me to the starter grid, but Giroud there suffered with wheel spin on the first phase, and that's why Orinin there was able to take advantage of the second phase to get him into turn number 2 and take the lead away. So this is a dream start for one driver, a horrible start, even though it's not, he hasn't lost anything, Tony, or gained anything. He's back where he started, like you said, but not ideal because obviously he wants to make those places up as much as he can to try and catch Orinin on the medium compound tyres, hence why he went for a different strategy there, because his teammate is on the hard compound tyres, because they went for split strategies, both of them. And we've got another driver back in the pit lane, that is Tony. So Tony, what's going on with him then? Is he going to go on the medium compound tyres? And if he is, that's going to be hard, medium, medium. Hopefully there's no damage sustained to that Williams I saw with that crash he suffered. But looks like he's on the medium compound tyres as Stoke has picked up a 5-second tyre penalty, and he's lost his wing. So I wonder what he's been doing behind Ali Safu there in the Red Bull. Probably not paying attention or something like that. But he's going to have to go back in the pit lane, and this could be the last lap of the safety car as well. So he's going to find himself all the way at the back of the field if the safety car does stay out for one more lap.
Yeah, I suspect he will come in this lap, Jamie. Delano also pitting under the safety car. He, of course, I believe he got a 5-second penalty by the looks of things, coming in and changing. He came in originally under the first safety car lap, put on a set of softs, and he's went back onto his original hard. So he's looking to stretch it long and maybe roll the dice, roll the gamble. P19, I believe he started down near the bottom end of the field, and throw the dice and see what happens. But could be disaster. Was that Snoken, you said? Losing his wing, and I think, to be honest, we have done, this will be our second full lap under safety car, of course. I believe we could see it in at the end of this lap, Jamie, and that could be disaster for the Red Bull driver, finding himself with a 5-second penalty to serve, a full pit stop and a front wing change on a safety car restart. The worst time you could possibly have it happen to you.
And that's going to be a long time in the pit lane as well, changing the front wing, so and the penalty for good measure. So that's good. If he serves that 5-second time penalty, he's going to pit lane for quite a while, changing his wing, getting a 5-second, and changing tyres. So he's going to have to suffer. Yes, it is coming at the end of this lap then. So he's on the back foot is Snoken. Unfortunately, that's one less driver for Tony to negotiate his way around. He decided to go on his medium compound tyres, so it's going to be hard, medium, hard, medium, hard, medium, hard, medium, medium. Because he's only used that medium tyre for one lap only, so they won't have much degradation on them. But the safety car is going to go in then. So Orinin had a fantastic race start, and is he about to have a good safety car restart then, as it becomes the safety car leader of this train. And one safety car on lap 1. I think we had 2 safety cars in tier 3, but it was on the final few laps of the race as well. We had on the first lap here in Cone. It doesn't disappoint, and off we go. They're about to switch up the tempo as we go racing once again. It looks like Rotation's got a decent start because he's right behind Jeroen, but Jeroen's going to use that ERS to try to stay ahead, or he's going to make a lunge into turn number 1. Thought about it, but he goes deep on in, and he gets a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting, so that's a straight 3-second time penalty. And look at that. We've got Troye with side by side with rotation. Remember, Troye's on the medium compound tyres, hence why he's going to be quick at this stage of the race. But Troye there stays in P4. He dearly loved to overtake the McLaren, but couldn't quite do so. You can see rotation there. The car slided just a bit in that first sector when I went to ball with him there. And look at Kenny and Leroy, gained 11 places with Jasper in P7 gaining 9, so that's helped him a lot. That first lap carnage has gained him a lot of places in this race, and Kenny there ahead of his teammate. We've got Nathan versus Sieb going on further down the field to go side by side in turn number 13. Remember, Nathan lost the car down at turn number 13, just plain understeered wide and lost the position towards Tony, and that's when the carnage happened once he was fighting with Leo, I think it was. But we've got Jasper. You got Jasper right behind Kyle. Then he's also on the medium compound tyres. So watch him charge through the field on those medium compound tyres, but has to stay behind. Interestingly, both Ferraris have got on the same strategy here, both on the medium compound tyres there. Look at Giroud pull into the right hand side now to overtake O'Reilly. For the lead of this race, they both make contact as well. Is rotation gonna follow through too? We've got some action going on here before the DRS is enabled then with rotation O'Reilly going side by side, but O'Reilly just stays ahead for the time being there. But does rotation get a decent exit? Remember, Troy's there. He doesn't want to linger around in this DRS train. He wants to overtake these three and pull ahead. But look at O'Reilly then. Essentially got nothing to lose now with that 3-second ability, so he's just going to race it all the way through. But this time doesn't overtake him forwards at turn number 3 where he went off last time.
Yeah, plenty of action going down in the mid-pack as well. Jamie Vouter getting the move on Kenny up into P9. Nathan shortly following through. He's just run a little bit wide though on the exit of turn 4, but gets the move up into P10 on those fresher mediums. Tony as well on his recovery drive, you could almost say. He got past Delano, had a 1.5 second gap to the pack, and within 2 sectors is right on the tail once again of Nelu Safu, and he is all over. We can see, I believe that is Leo running a little bit wide round 13. He makes contact with Posh Josh, or Posh Evans, sorry Josh, and getting a little bit loosey-goosey there, as Danny Rick would say, but keeping it well out of the wall. Action all over the place at the moment. Jamie Boompe has been lining up moves in Seed for the last lap as well, from what I've seen, and just can't make it stick. Brilliant racing in the mid-pack now that we've settled into proper green flag racing. Things you absolutely love to see as Tony lines up the move alongside Nelu Safu on the run down to 27. Tony on the left, Nelu on the right, using a little bit of ERA. Seeb and Kenny battling out further in front as Tony makes the move, and we're settling in to the good old DRS train, Jamie, but there's plenty of movement within it.
Yeah, keep an eye on Troy P4. He's actually going to go down the inside. He actually forces rotate, but he hits O'Reilly. O'Reilly's in a spin. Troy there, remember what happened in the Dutch GP where Troy outbroke himself. He took O'Reilly out, but this time O'Reilly doesn't crash as he retired that race, but thankfully he stays in it. And he's fallen down into P10, the worst possible scenario there for O'Reilly in there, but he can gain back those positions he lost, plus with a 3-second time penalty then. So he's at a massive disadvantage there, is O'Reilly, and then by Troy. Rotation though, I think they both outbroke themselves, but rotation went wide to avoid him. But it was actually Troy who hit him. Is he about to make a move on Nathan for P9? No, he's not. He stays behind. But Seeb going wide at turn number 13. Not the first or last drive I've seen do that. But Jasper's out of the race. He's crashed at the exit of turn number 13. Then this might trigger another safety car on lap 6 then out of 25. Huge chaos, Scotty. I'm all for it, of course. But don't want to be seeing too much of this.
Yeah, another retirement on the exit of turn 13, and even more drama from it, Jamie. I was just about caught it. Of course, the safety car comes out. What comes out with a safety car, folks? It's the dreaded Delta. Tony slamming down the brakes to get within that Delta, of course. Nelu sleeping on that a little bit, is run into the back of Tony, and it's going to be a front wing change for the McLaren down in P15 on lap 6. He's already pit. He's going to have to pit again. 4 laps on those mediums and needing another fresh wing. This has been a drama-filled race so far, Jamie. I believe you were saying there was, what, 3 safety cars in Tier 3? I think there was 3 or 4 in Tier 4. Tier 2 is just about finished up recently, and I'm assuming there was a couple in there from what I've seen. So the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix living up to the expectations. A flurry of cars into the pits, all the medium runners that kept going by the looks of it, all onto the hards, looking to go right until the end. And we're only on lap 7 of 25 here, Jamie. We're just about reaching the quarter of the way mark. 2 safety cars, plenty of action. Lee, sorry, onto a set of intermediates. That's a bold strategy. There must be some sort of yeah, I'm not too sure with that one. We'll see what comes with that.
Well, C4 Gamer there, he just came out the pit lane and he's picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. Did he go in between the white lines there, the exit of the pit lane? Because that's the only explanation, of course, because you actually can't cut turn number 1 and turn number 3. Maybe he actually, well, I mean, by saying that, once you cut the pit lane, it immediately feeds to the track, avoided turn 1 and turn number 2. Maybe he exceeded track limits in turn number 3, that's why he picked himself up a 3-second time penalty. But Jacob says, Scott Lee, Scott, Lee is saving tyre wear for his hard. He'll pit again, and I think Leo in there is going to go back in the pit lane to fit on his old hard compound tyres there. So not using the medium or soft. He wants to save them precious tyres towards the end of the Grand Prix. But I think I remember now, because lap 7 we had a safety car come out at this specific lap as well. So it's happened here in tier 1 again, because I remember saying before the race, if people on medium tyres, lap 7 is the way to go on the hard compound tyres if a safety car does come out. So yes, the first safety car in tier 3 actually came out on lap 7, but yeah, plenty of safety cars. You got to be on the right it's very hard to predict, of course, and a lot of people lose races because of this as well. You got to be, well, you can't be, obviously, but you've got to be on the right part of the track at the right time, on the right tyres as well, because you can't predict a safety car comes out, and if a safety car does come out at the wrong time for you, then it's not game over, but there's a massive disadvantage for you as well. So I know what it feels like when a safety car comes out at the wrong time, when you think you've got it all in your hands, and unnecessary safety car comes out. If it's a track like this where safety cars are guaranteed to come out, you don't know what the right strategy is. Medium, hards, softs, who knows, or inters in Leo's case.
Yeah, Leo into the pits. Thank you for that, Jacob. I did suspect he'd be pitting again, but it's good to know, little things like that. Yeah, saving hards, that makes sense. That's why I'm just a lowly bottom end tier 2, probably tier 3 pace driver nowadays. But yeah, exactly what you're saying there, Jamie. I think we'd all be lying if we said we haven't had a race ruined by an untimely safety car. It's a common feature of the league racing scene, and we've all had it either ruined or saved. It taketh with one hand, giveth with the other. And it is that gamble, of course. One can come out at the perfect time, and then 5 laps later, it comes out again and just unsets everything, every little bit of good that you have done so far. And it is really a dramatic, it's like hitting the reset button, I suppose, quite literally, on the strategy. Leroy, big shout out to him. Despite he's reset the track, I know, grassing him in, but he's got himself up to P4 at the moment. And that's including a little bit of a contact, a little bit of a spin of some sort. So a decent run for him so far in this race, up in the top pack, of course. Yet to pit, P10 down to P18 on relatively fresh tyres, of course. So expect them to go a little bit longer if we get a fresh flurry of green flag racing. Just to touch on what you're saying about the strategy, Jamie, I believe, now I might not be 100% on this, of course, but I believe the optimal sort of pit lap time, if you were to run a clean race, green flags all the way, 11 to 13 laps on the mediums. So yeah, lap 7, of course, you're expecting 2 safety car in this lap, get racing lap 9. It's only a couple of laps extra on the hards, and the hards, the durable, more less curable compound tyre, they can go that little bit longer, easy. But gonna get back for the 3rd time tonight, if you include the race start, to green flag racing. Jamie, you ruin our leader. How will we restart this race? Nice and easy, nice and early, or leave it late?
He forced Aurelian into a mistake at turn number 2 by making him go wide, by putting him under pressure, showing his presence there, and he will lead the safety car away then. As we make our way towards the final corner, Tony's dropping down. Did he spin? Yes, he did. He's down into 18, but we're about to switch up the tempo once again for the 2nd time in this race then. Giroud leads him away with rotation in P2. Kyle in P3. What a good start there from the Williams driver. But it's the wrong Williams driver because Tony needs to be there. But at least we got one Williams driver with QRT Leroy fancying a move, but not enough space there. It's turn number 1. Got Posh Evans into P8 there, trying to force a launch on Kenny. Delano up into P9 after a dismal qualifying. And look at Posh Evans. He's actually got past Kenny then. So Kenny went wide coming out of turn number 2 there, which allowed Josh to come through, and Reservoir going off the track there coming out of turn number 4, but however he stays in front. We've got the Aston Martin Delano right behind with Walter and Sieb as well. I think Sieb on a brand new set of medium compound tyres there. Walter in an Aston Martin sandwich there in a Mercedes, putting pressure on one and getting attacked by the other. But here comes Walter then side by side with Delano as he makes our way into turn number 13 we go. What about Sieb? Will he make his way up the inside too, following Walter? Yes, he will there. What about Bompier? Is he going to come through too? That's a shame there for Delano. Delano. He's lost 3 places in the space of 2 corners there, and he puts himself down as P13. He's struggling 2 minutes off the track as well, which allowed Troye to come through with a brand new set of hards. So let's not forget the drivers who pitted as well. I wonder if Troye, when he hit O'Reilly, did he sustain any full wind damage? But he was on the medium compound tyres anyway, so he pitted to get off that because the safety car came at the right time for the medium runners and pitted onto a brand new set of hards. But if he did sustain wind damage, his QRT Leroy there has been overtaken by Nathan, and now Nathan is up into P4 ahead of the Alfa Romeo there. So Nathan on a charge. Bearing in mind though, I don't think he has pitted just yet in this race. Delano's in last place unfortunately there, so not a good safety car restart, and unfortunately dropping all the way to the back of the field.
Yeah, Nathan, just to jump in that, Nathan pitting on at the end of lap 1, getting caught up in that carnage, of course, at the end of the second, start of the third sectors. He is on medium tyres, of course, 8 laps there on your UI, your display, but of course, quite a few laps under the safety car, so better life still in those tyres. He will need to pit again, of course, not going to make it to the end, but a medium tyre at this stage of the Grand Prix, all your opponents, all your close runners on the hard, you're going to have that pace advantage, and he is hunting down Kyle of P3. The top 2 though, Jeroen and Rotation, checked out 2.1 seconds the gap from Rotation to Kyle. Rotation just within the 1 second, that crucial 1 second margin, Jamie, that lots of races are decided on. Well, Rotation is hanging on there and putting the pressure on Jeroen for when that gets re-enabled in, I believe, 1 lap's time. Further down at the field as well, Leo, one to maybe watch going forward. He's done pretty fresh mediums compared to some of the others. Of course, a few others have pit in the recent safety car for mediums, for hards, and we know that he had a solid qualifying. He's got good pace round this circuit. Tony on the recovery once again. I'm not quite sure who or what caused the spin under the safety car restart. Maybe it was tactical, maybe not. But he is up into P16 at the moment. Delano struggling at the newly crowned Tier 1 reserve, jumping up from Tier 2. Just slightly too quick for Tier 2, and just maybe struggling a little bit here in Tier 1 tonight.
Yes indeed, and Tier 1 boys putting on a great show of racing as well. Oh, Leo's dropped down into P18. You were talking about him a few moments ago. He's just had a spin coming out of turn number 2, and now we've got a more car battle going on there between the McLaren. Looks like Tony's involved at the battle. He's actually going side by side with Nelly Safu. Then Nelly Safu not giving this up at all, and Tony finds himself right behind. Tony can't afford in this race to get caught up in any more incidents. That's enough for him. He's been through a lot of incidents in this race, and look at that then. So Tony gets a decent exit. We got Nelly Safu right in his sides once again, and he goes around the outside. Look at that from Snoken going around the outside. Looks like Nelly Safu's got a problem. He's actually slowing down. Is the McLaren driver?
Sorry, jump in. Nelo Safu made contact on the exit of turn 11, damaged his front wing, and then we've seen Delano losing on the exit of 13. Nelo getting caught up with that. 2 incidents in 2 corners for Nelo, one on his own accord, one getting caught up with Delano. And not the race that Nelo was hoping for here tonight. Good news for Tony and co, but the McLaren driver suffering deeply there. Jamie, back to you.
We got Steve putting pressure on Walter then as we make our way into turn number 27. Steve going too late on the brakes. Thankfully he didn't hit the wall coming out of turn number 27 there, otherwise his chances of fighting Walter will be over. So just a bit too ambitious on the brakes there, trying to get ahead of Walter. Maybe he should have backed out of it, waited for the second dose or third dose of DRS behind the detection point. Goes deep into turn number 1 once again, into turn number 2 then. So looks like he's misjudging his braking points just so slightly there as he tries to put pressure on Walter, and now he's going to watch out for Bompier right behind as well, with Troye on the hard compound tyres as well. He's going to struggle to make progress down in P13 because he's got loads of cars ahead in the DRS train. In fact, there's like a DRS train from P3 all the way down to P13 then, so that's one big DRS train there from P3 all the way down to P13, with Carl being the first of it and Troye being the last of it. But he's got a lot of ERS disposal to play with as well, so let's see how he's going to handle that as well down in P13. But a lot of progress that Troye is going to make down there, and we're still yet to await a pit stop from the top 2 there. Wonder when they're going to pit, because oh, Leroy's dropping down the order. He's spun coming out where is that? Reservi's picked himself up a 3-second time penalty, but I can't quite see. Is that right left-hander? I think it is as well. So Leroy there probably taking too much care of the entry, or probably got on the throttle way too quick. And it is, because that's the DRS zone as well. So unfortunately, Leroy, after such good progress, has drops himself all the way down the field then. And all that progress he did as well, making loads of positions up after other people's misfortune, had a mistake as well. Rotation versus Javoon for the top two. Cal and P3 just defended from Nathan there, as O'Reilly has dived into the pit lane then to put on a brand new set of medium compound tyres. O'Reilly there looking for a combat drive after being taken out by Troye. And into the pit lane he goes there with his teammate setting the fastest lap of the race. I think his teammate pitted a few laps before as well. And that's Leo there, who gets a 3-second time penalty as well, followed by Snoken down in P13. They're both close together then, so I wonder if they had a fight down there and exceeded track limits, Snoken and Leo there.
Yeah, Leroy, just a little bit of more information, I suppose, on his little incident. Just coming through turn 16, of course, the right-left-hander, just maybe missing the apex ever so slightly, trying to correct it with a little bit more steering and a little bit more throttle, and the car just giving way and saying, nope, we cannot hold this line with this kind of throttle input, off into the wall. Still in the race, of course. Aurelian, the first of the hard runners on their starting hards, into the pits. Now this poses the question, will we see others follow suit? The likes of Jeroen, Rotation, Kyle, Evans, Kenny, those five, sorry, on relatively old hards, you know, 11, 12 laps from pretty much the start of this Grand Prix. Will they all follow suit with the firing of Aurelian's gun into the pits? Jeroen and Rotation then coming up to the pit entry. Jeroen does dive into the pits. Rotation going longer on the hards, looking to try and get some sort of overcut. Kyle does come into the pits and he gets the 5 seconds speeding into the pits, but that doesn't look for actual speeding, that's more for taking a straighter line, cutting those white entry lines into the pits. So 5 seconds for the Williams driver, and plenty of drama in the pit lane already tonight, Jamie, adding on to that. But now we've got the battle, Jeroen and Rotation. Rotation going for the overcut, Jeroen calling it early and following and covering off Aurelian.
Safety cars definitely changed the trajectory and plans for this race as well, because we've got multiple strategies going on, and that is Kenny! Kenny has dropped it where Mick Schumacher lost it in qualifying, and that's a Mercedes as well. So unfortunately there, Kenny has retired, and that has caused a safety car, which is the worst possible scenario for the likes of Javoon, because Rotation is going to be able to go in the pit lane like Perez did in Baku and take the lead in the race, because those guys have got to stick to a safety car delta, whereas Rotation could go in the pit lane as the delta would be reduced there, and he will be able to take a pit stop and not lose any time towards Jeroen at all. Nathan possibly can get off those medium compound tyres as well, because he was looking for a pit stop too. So another safety car has just appeared in this race, and once again has changed the whole script for this race.
Absolutely worst time possible for Aurelian, pitting last lap. Jeroen pitting at the start of this lap. It is disastrous timing for them. Big news if you're Rotation. Nathan, of course, on those mediums, if he's got another fresh set of mediums, or even hards, of course, can fire them on and easily make it to the end. I could see a flurry of cars jumping in for the yellow stripe mediums. We see the top three all coming in. Sieb on the 8-lap old mediums continues on. Boompi on the 8-lap mediums continues on. But the rest all flurrying into the pits. See how this piles out for you. And he is burning ERS to try and make as many positions as he can. It looks to be P5 for him. Might just come out in front of his teammate Nathan. But crucially, behind Rotation. Aurelian P7 then. Tony into the pits, 5 positions behind his championship rival. I believe, going by the points, that would not be enough if things were to end now. If Jamie, if we were hypothetically say, this is it, it would but not be enough for the title to be secured if my maths is right. And at the 15-lap mark stage, that's 3 safety cars. Going by this rate, Jamie, we could be on for at least another 1, maybe another 2.
Yeah, that's crazy. With 10 laps to go in this race as well. This could be anybody's race, as we've had 3 safety cars which completely ruin people's races and gain as well. Jeroen hasn't lost much though. He's lost one position, of course, but he's still with rotation though, so it would have been interesting to see without the safety car who would have came out ahead of who. Would rotation go in longer, able to get the overcut on Giroud, or Giroud on the undercut of rotation? But we'll never know. But however, Giroud then not at a massive disadvantage, but rotation's got 3 cars ahead of him with all the tyres there, so he has to negotiate his way around the traffic quickly but as safely as he can, because you know what happens when drivers on new tyres meet up with drivers on older tyres. It tends to get a bit hairy and messy as those drivers behind are desperate to overtake while the guys in front struggling for grip and don't want to make contact with them either. So rotation, Giroud there got to negotiate their way around the traffic, and Nathan could be on for a podium with P6 as well, so this is completely swung towards Nathan's way, because I thought he started on the medium compound tyres. He didn't. I think he pitted early in the safety car when he had the hards on and put the mediums on and another set of mediums, so this has completely worked in the favour of Nathan there, who can gain another podium as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this race pans out, as Delano there getting a penalty during a safety car. So I've seen a few people do that this race as well, so this race has showed us everything so far, hasn't it, Scott?
Yeah, really, it's really pushing the drivers to the edge mentally of, you know, how far can you push in every corner, but the strategy wise coming into play. Nathan, a big thing to say there, Jamie. You're hitting it nail on the head. He was one of the ones involved in that turn 23-24 collision on lap 1 that brought out the initial safety car. By the looks of things, was a passenger in it, and we've all been there. Lap 1, you get involved in an incident, you think my race is ruined. Look at him now, P6, 3 cars in front of him on old mediums, and on a good strategy, easy to make it to the end. Now it's all about putting that pace down and maybe having your fingers, toes and everything else crossed that there isn't another safety car that could spice things up. A few down the back into the pits. Delano in fresh mediums for him. Nelu Safu, I believe, has passed his box. Yep, he's out on 5 lap old mediums. Of course, some of the laps probably, most likely, have been under a safety car. The full pack line, Jamie, on the yellow stripe mediums, the middle compound tyre. A little bit of speed and a little bit of resistance and life. Perfect for some racing, I would say. But like you've said already, that crucial battle for rotation for you and for Nathan, Aurelian and Evans, even everybody behind those front 3, there will be that little cork in the bottle. If you can clear them quick, you can clear them safely, you can build a gap and try and claim this race as your own, and that could be the deciding factor tonight, Jamie.
And that's what rotation should be hoping for as well, to clear those guys as quick as possible and try and put 1 or 2 cars in between himself and Giroud, while Giroud also negotiates his way around the traffic as well. So these two there, despite being together throughout the whole race, might find themselves a bit separate after these battles. Maybe they can follow each other swiftly as well, but who knows. Giroud's going to be very careful and not to try and make contact with any of those 3, even rotation and Nathan, the guys behind as well. So it's pivotal for this race, and if rotation goes for a move, Giroud has to as well. He can't afford to lose contact with rotation as the safety car once again for the 3rd time in this race. Hopefully the last safety car, because I want to see some good racing action between these guys on a brand new set or the same tyres on the mediums. So no disadvantage there unless you're the top 3 who haven't gone for another pit stop and stayed out there for track position, which is also key around here. Maybe they can follow in that DRS train as well. But now Sieb, 3rd different driver to become the safety car, and we'll see then how he decides to take the safety car restart. Obviously you want to catch these guys napping on a brand new set of the medium compound tyres, make sure they don't get the launch, and Sieb will be looking for that as well. What has Sieb got at his disposal to try and keep these guys behind? Same with Bompierre and Leo. Rotation has picked up a 5-second time penalty for a collision there with Leo, and we're going racing once again. I think Leo's lost traction, he's all over the place, and here comes rotation, and they're side by side now, and look at Giroud. They're going to go 3 wide on the straight there, with Bompierre being the slipstream provider. Rotation on the inside, Giroud on the outside, Giroud around the outside, into the inside line we go. They're 3 abreast, this is going to be contact for sure. One of them's got to yield, but there's rotation, he's lost the place towards Nathan now, and Leo side by side with Giroud. Leo is not giving up whatsoever. Giroud has to go off the track there. Leo's still around the outside, he has the inside line. Giroud may have to back out of this, of course. Yes, he does then, and rotation there has lost 2 places towards both AlphaTauri's. Nathan there almost just hit the rotation spun. Aurelian spun as well. That's our championship contender, and there's a few cars has crashed in the wall. That's an Alfa Romeo of Leroy, who's lost his wing. big consequences there for Orient in the championship. He's down into P15. Where is Tony? I have no idea. Walter is up into P6. Look at the Ferrari Investify. He's lost his wing. That's 2 drivers losing their wing too. So major contact and chaos at the safety car restart. However, Nathan has got ahead of Giroud Visser. I did see him struggle in the first sector, and he has lost his own play too. Giroud Visser has lost his own play, hence why he's struggling that first sector. Nathan could be on course for a race win because he's on fresher tyres and doesn't have a penalty, Scott. Oh my goodness me.
Absolute scenes, I believe is the correct phrase here, Jamie. Crazy restart. Just a little tidbit before that restart. Aurelian has just jumped in. Tony going for a move on Valter. He's seen his rival plummet down the field, get caught up. He tries to move in Valter into turn 27, the final turn. Now he's going to try and line up something into turn 1. Valter getting the slipstream of Jeroen, who carries on with that wing damage. The Mercedes of Valter dives to the inside into turn 1. Slight back contact, the two come together.
Oh my goodness me, Tony is up into P5 ahead of both of them. And Giroud and Walter once again making contact there, which is allowed. Troye out. Troye started he came from P13 at the third safety car restart. It's P6 now. This is just gone crazy. And guess what? Walter's still stuck behind Giroud. He's still struggling in the first sector there. Can't find a way past the AlphaTauri. Now he can for sure. He's pushed him now, giving him some extra speed down the straight, which he needs. Coming into turn number 13 then. Surely going to go down the inside now because Giroud has no downforce. Here comes Stoken. The Swedish driver also lost his wing. Remember the second safety car restart. Now he's up into P8 after being out of nowhere as well in the second safety car restart. This race flipped heads once again. Bompier in P2 looks like he's on course for a potential race win with no penalties. But however, Nathan is lurking in the distance. Nathan needs to be calm about this because you remember he's had I think he's had one podium this season. No, he actually hasn't because he got taken away in Austria because I think Tony got rid of his penalty. But Leo is right behind Bompier as well. So these three are fighting despite being on older tyres, but they got Nathan on their tail as well, so they got to watch out for him later. There's so much action, you don't know where to look, do you?
You're constantly scanning the field trying to find something. Nelu Safu having a look at Jeroen trying to flip those tables like this race has been flipped so many times and get a run on Delano into the final corner. He's using a little bit of that ERS, almost touching the rear of the Aston Martin as they run down to turn 1 side by side. The McLaren, lurking in the background. Jeroen on the inside is going to make the move up into P9. Delano tucking inside. He's facing pressure from the McLaren of Nelu once again in the background. Aurelian lurking there. He was P7 on the restart. Tony P12. That would have been enough. I'll stand corrected. Would have been enough as Nelu makes contact with the wall on the inside of turn 5 and has lost an end plate. Aurelian up into P11. But if it had been Aurelian P7, Tony P12, it would have been the championship done and decided tonight, Jamie. How things have changed in 2 laps as Aurelian on the recovery once again goes around about the outside of Delano into turn 13, holding side by side. Jeroen acting as a little bit of a cork in the bottle here with that wing damage, but Aurelian does get the move. Next up, the stricken AlphaTauri for P9. Tony though back up into P5, and Nathan, like you say, he's in that front train. He's in with a shot of a mighty points haul for the AlphaTauri here tonight.
And Aurelian's finally got past, but look at Leo in the other Alpine. He's going to go side by side now with Bompier. This is the fight for the lead of this race. And Bompier, will he go down the inside? Yes, he does. Then he goes down the inside off Seam, but he'll get DRS. Look at Leo coming through side by side now with Seymour Gamer. As you can see, Bompier is D-rate on the straight. They're going to have a huge advantage on the straight. Here comes Seam. Here comes Leo. They go 3 abreast on the straight, but both of them D-rated except Leo, of course. As we go down into turn number 1, we go. Seam takes the lead of this race ahead of Bompier with Nathan in P4. Oh, we made a mistake for that turn 2. Come on, Nathan, keep it nice and calm now. You're on fresher tyres. This is going to be your best result in a long time. He finished in P4 at the Hungarian Grand Prix. That's his best result this season. P4, just 1 step away from the podium, because he was fighting Leroy for the podium as well at the Hungarian Grand Prix. But he's
sorry, just to jump in, Jamie, just very quickly, I've seen an end plate fly off the Alpine of Leo in P2 through that first sector, so there's damage to the stricken now Alpine. Bumpy going for the move into turn 13. Nathan is hunting for the opportunity to get past, and Leo running a very solid race. One little mistake really shows the pressure of this track, Jamie, and now he has got wing damage with 6 laps to go, 5.5 I suppose, into the wall once again.
Ah, look at Leo then, he's suffering with this difficulty of this track there, under huge pressure on all the tyres. Nathan is up into P3 now. Nathan's going to keep this nice and clean now because he knows Bompier is not... Look who's behind, look who's coming. Look who's coming, Tony and Troye are coming too with Walter. This could get interesting. Nathan there, side by side. He's going to make sure that Walter, Troye and Tony do not catch up. And look at the Ferrari going down the inside of Leo. That was an easy move, of course, with no front wing. But I think Tony then taking Leo for P5. This is crucial points. Leo wants to go. Oh no! There's more contact with Walter as Leo was side by side with Tony. He wanted to go in the pit lane there. And look at this though. We've got Troye right alongside Bompier. They go side by side now. Into turn number 2 we go. Bompier then will to be demoted down into P4 due to fresher tyres of Troye. Troye, after being a disadvantage from pitting on the hard compound tyres to mediums at the second safety car restart, did not pay dividends for him at all. Maybe the other way around, of course. I think it was mediums to hards, and therefore he was in that train. He couldn't gain anything, and when that third safety car came out, he pitted onto a brand new set of mediums and rejoined down in P13. But it's a huge... It's worked massively in his favour. He could still win this race, you know, from P3 because Nathan's just ahead with Sieb. How is Nathan going to plan this out? Will he use Sieb for the DRS to keep Troye behind? Who knows? But this is a big shot for Nathan here. Anything can happen in this race. We've got Tony, look at him. Emerging from the distance there. He's up into P5. He's putting pressure on Bompier, who's on all the tyres. We've got an Alfa Romeo and Leroy, who was spun further down. Unfortunately for him, has suffered a terrible race, but hopefully he can find some pace coming towards the last race of the circuit. But Nathan is so close behind. What's he going to do? Because Troye is coming. He's coming with the helping hand of the DRS and the battery. I think Nathan might have to force a move on C. He can't afford to be stuck behind it. Here comes Nathan going around the outside. Troye there is boxed in. He can't go anywhere. And he's going to go around the outside now of Sieb. Into the final corner we go. Troye there gets to the decent exit. He gets past Sieb then for P2. And now he's putting pressure on Nathan just ahead of him there. We've got Nelly Safu go for a spin. Troye, our new race leader in this race, will take the lead off Nathan. Up into P1 he goes. But Nathan still has a chance if he could stay behind in the DRS and try and fight him on later in this race. Where's Tony? Up into P4. He knows Steve Raw Gamer has got a 3-second time penalty to his name. So there's a chance for a podium for him. And this race has turned on its head quite multiple times, hasn't it, Scott, tonight?
Well, this has been, if you know, if you'd said to me who's going to get a chance...
Oh, contact with the Red Bull and Mercedes! I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Walter and Snowden, the Mercedes and Red Bull there, making contact, and Walter's lost his wing as well, so a dismal race there from the Dutchman, making contact with the Red Bull there. And look at Tony, he's up into turn 13, he's going side by side with Sieb, and he takes him on for the lead of the race, third place, sorry, get ahead of myself there. But, oh, no, please don't be a safety car. No, there's no safety car, because he's crashed, retired in the pit lane, has Dennis Safu, so 14 remain in this race. I'm surprised it's not 10 because there's been a lot of chaos here tonight. But Tony up into P3. Is he in contention of a win? Being third in the DRS train and on the same tyres as well. Same tyre range? I don't think so. So he might suffer a bit being third in the DRS train there, which you don't want to be whatsoever. But we've had a lot of things happen this race. I think a lot of people need to watch it back there tonight.
Oh, definitely. I think if this race isn't in even the vote for race of the season, never mind getting the race of the season, it could be well and truly up there. It would be doing itself and then justice. Tony then on P3 at the moment. He's within chasing distance of those front two and crucial for his championship hopes. Remember, he wants to score as many points as he can. P3 is worth 20. P2 is worth 24, a bonus 4 points, and if he could get into P1, that's 6 more than P2, so he will be gunning, absolutely gunning for every position. Aurelian down in P6 at the moment, yellow flags further down, that looks to be a spin for pit for Wouter, apologies for that, but Aurelian P6 at the moment, a penalty still to apply, P12. If it stayed as it is, 3 and 6, that's 8 points. That goes to a 14-point gap into the final race. Every position, every second, every 10th, Jamie, is crucial to both of these drivers. And a race as crazy as this, that's the last thing you want in the back of your mind.
Oh, Leroy gets a 3-second time penalty. A lot of drivers that get 3-second time penalties, but it's crucial for the top three not to do so, especially Tony being in such a good position, because I thought Tony would be nowhere near the front of this race after what happened. And we've got yellow flags. Is that an Alpine? That is Leo who's going for a spin at turn number 13 there on the soft compound tyres, looking to go for the fastest lap. QRT Leroy then trying to pick up the most penalties in this race, again something, but Troy then leading this race ahead of Nathan there. Nathan saved some battery for a last few laps to attack on Troy. Looks like he has got more ERS at his disposal against Troy then, so how he's going to use it. Bear in mind he's got Tony right behind then. Tony there, after all he's been through in this race, he's been in last as well in this race as well, had some spins earlier on too. After everything he's been through, can he try and win this race? It's going to be a difficult position from there with Nathan just ahead. Delano's finally got past Javoon as he's still struggling with that broken end plate. He's actually re-overtaken him too, and he's got DRS cover measure as well, so Delano there must have tried it in the final corner, but must have outbroke himself and allowed Javoon to go back through, and now Javoon's got DRS, he's able to stay ahead of the Aston Martin. Bearing in mind that the Aston Martin Delano has struggled though, so finishing inside the top 10 would be a good result for him if he could keep it there as well. We've got Redsify and a brand new set of softs as well, and Wildtail unfortunately has dropped into last place as Carl is in the pit lane. We've had loads of drivers on the podium this race.
It is genuinely, like I was going to say earlier on, you could have, who do you think is going to finish on the podium? And you would have your unusual suspects maybe. It's changed every about 3 or 4 laps here, Jamie. It's been absolutely crazy. Troy up there from that, that relatively late safety car. He's crawled his way up through for the Ferrari. Nathan, bear in mind, Nathan sitting in P2 with just over a lap to go. 44% ERS. We have a retirement of Leroy in the first sector. I believe it's not a retirement on track. He has fired it into the wall. Too late for a safety car, of course, Jamie. But a few more laps earlier, and that would have been. But the battle then, Nathan, Troy, and Tony. Nathan, 40% ERS. Tony, bare minimum. Troy on the 20. This is really going to be a tense battle as we round the final lap. 27 corners to go. Separate one of these 3 drivers from the checkered flag, the top spot of the podium, and all the glory of a chaotic race.
Now it's not the time to make a mistake from Nathan, because he had a little bit of a problem with that turn number 2 there. I think he lost the back of the car but saved it, but now is not the time to make any mistakes with 27 corners, less than that now to go in this race. First sector is completed with Troy still in the lead of this race, but Nathan has got a sufficient amount more ERS, but he's further behind though, so he's got 2 DRS zones to try and claw his way back up towards Troy. And who is going to win? Is it going to be Nathan? Is it going to be Troy? Second place is probably the best place to be with the amount of ERS you have as well on the final lap of this race. So Troy has got a lot of defending to do here if he wants to keep the lead of the race, and Tony there in P3 with the lack of ERS will not able to get those two. So it's going to be all down to Troy and Nathan to decide who is going to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. These two are unlikely, because I thought it would be rotation or Javoon is going to win this race, but ever since that 3rd or 4th or 6th safety car came out, it's turned heads once again. And Nathan then draining the ERS. Is he going to get Troy in the final corner? We go. He's got a lot of overspeed on the Ferrari as the AlphaTauri, but I don't think it's going to be the case unless he can get a decent exit coming out on this final corner. Troy, I think, has it covered, and I think Troy then will keep Nathan behind as he comes across the line to win in Jeddah. Nathan P2 and Tony P3. We've got C coming in through P4 there on 18 lap all mediums too. That's incredible. All in there recovering to P5 with Bompierre in P6 then. And Bompierre takes P4 away from Siebers already in there into P6, and that's crucial if already drops down positions to lose more points towards Tony. Stoken in P7 with Javoon Reza finishing in P8 with the Ferrari right behind. We've got Reservoir coming through very quickly as well on the soft compound tyres, but I think Javoon has him covered with Reservoir P9, Delano in P9 taking over Reservoir, and Leo in P11 ahead of Kyle in P12, Walter P13. But what a race this has been. I thought Rotation and Javoon would have this race, but ever since those safety cars came out to play, which Julian caused the first one, there's been plenty of chaos in this race. It's like a fruit machine going up and down as Kyle takes away the fastest lap of the race. I don't know who had it before, but he gets the extra point for the fastest lap. It's unlucky to Kyle because he was in 3rd place himself, but his teammate actually finished in P3, where I told him he needs to be finished as well, because I remember saying Kyle up into P3 while Tony's had a P16 or something.
Absolutely chaotic, edge of your seat from lights out to checker flag stuff there, Jamie. That
Sweated.
is... No, I don't know how we managed to cover so much as we did, because we probably still missed half of it with everything that we managed to catch. What a race! What a performance from a number of drivers. And like you say, it was a fruit machine. You just pulled the lever and see what spat out of you, what was in what position. But yeah, you well deserved a break for you tonight, mate. After that perfect performance from yourself, from a number of drivers, and what a race it sets up for next week, Jamie. That title still in the balance as things stands. P3 for Tony, P6 for Aurelian. 31 points available, 14 points separate them at present. It's going to be chaos in Spa once again, but all eyes on that man in the Ferrari tonight. It is Troy. Big points in the Constructors' battle as well. The battle between Ferrari and Alpine raging on into the final round. Huge points for them, but he'll not be worrying about that too much. He'll be taking all the personal glory. Nathan back on the podium, P2 for him, ahead of Tony from P10 on the grid.
I think after that third safety car is where it all kicked off. The last safety car, because Leo on all the tyres was defending very hard against Jeroen and rotation, then those guys made contact there. There's too much to embrace in this. There's too much to digest in this race, because a lot of things happened, and I can't exactly remember how it happened, because it just came at you thick and fast very quickly, like the wars here in Saudi Arabia. And just need to rewatch this race, just take in what happened, because there's too much that went on, and there was battles everywhere. This track once again showing why it's one of the best places for chaos, indeed. And Tony there in P3, Troye was under a massive disadvantage at the second safety car, because his strategy did not pay dividends, as he stayed in P13 looking to gain a huge undercut of the guys ahead, but that didn't pay out for him. And still, from P13 after the second safety car came out, up into P1. However, Nathan, shout out to him though, his first podium of the season. May not have been a race win, but still, it's a good result for him in P2. A desperate result for him. He needs to boost his spirits a little bit, because he's been feeling down after the last few races. But P2 would definitely do him good tonight. And Tony spinning after the third safety car back up into P3 as well. So, and Jeroen and rotation, a shame for them, because they're good pace pulling away from Kyle and the rest of them behind. But unfortunately, that last safety car where it all kicked off as well, from Aurelian's point of view, unlucky to him, because he also got caught up in some drama with Troye taking him out as well. So, in fact, do you think? Oh, let's think about this now. While I said that, if Aurelian decides to report Troye after hitting the back of him, do you think he might get a post-race penalty like he did? Not he was supposed to, but he had a glitch, lagging issue at the Dutch GP, so he was able to keep his win. But if this was legit, and if Aurelian decides to report it in, do you think his race might be taken away? Race win?
It has potential. I'm going to be honest with you, Jamie. I'm going to remain as impartial as I can. I'm a member of the Stewarden team. I'm not going to comment on any incident before I've seen the full facts and figures. But it is an interesting take, and it is an interesting thing, because that, you know, it might boost Aurelian, but it also boosts Tony.
Yeah.
And that could really spice things up in the sort of psyche of the drivers. There might be a little bit to consider there, and I won't comment too much on the incident itself, just for the sake of impartiality, I believe is the word. But you know, we've seen plenty of races decided post-race here, Jamie. The racing's so tight. We've seen it again tonight. What a race! And just touch back on what you said, Nathan, P2 tonight. He was caught up in that that lap one incident all the way from the back of the field, and he's up there on the podium. What a result for him. I'm going to quickly add our podium setters, if that's all right with you, Jamie, and we'll get them in for a little chat.
Oh, now you said it, I have to now, don't I? Let's go on.
Oh, are you gonna?
Go on then, do it.
I think we have to. After a race like that, I think it would be a shame not to.
I'm just watching back the race and just trying to remember everything that happened, because it's just, yeah, Aurelian led the first part. They got taken out by Troye, and Jeroen actually got him back because he actually made a mistake down at turn number 2 himself. But I'm just trying to remember what happened in that race, and here's the man himself. I think I haven't spoken to for a long time, and now here he is at the party. And before we continue with the interviews, mate, can you turn on your party audio, please, for the party settings? If you have a PS4, I don't know how you do it on PS5 because I ain't got one.
Yeah, I think it should be on. Could maybe just double check on stream, but let's see.
Because you're the first one here to join, I might as well start it before wasting any more time. So, Troy, mate, what a chaotic race for you. I think in that second safety car you had a massive disadvantage because you came out in P13 on the hard compound tyres looking to take the ball towards the end. But once that safety car did come out, you pitted along with the rest of the medium runners there, so it actually led to a massive disadvantage because you were essentially on the same tyres as the rest of them down in P13. So how do you think this race went? Well, obviously you won the race, but overall, what about the emotions, the stress, the strategy calls as well, the battles, just everything in that race? How do you think it all went out for you?
Yeah, man, it was a chaotic race, to be honest, from first lap all the way to the end. I think that's probably part of it, why I managed to somehow win it as well, I guess. There was a lot of cars that I didn't have to overtake due to them taking each other out or whatever. So that was probably one of the main reasons. And then I obviously had to do some strategical moves, get those hard runners at the front and get Pyro, Nathan as well. But not as many moves as I probably would have had to make otherwise, you know.
Yeah, I understand, mate. And when in the race did you think that you could pick up a race win? What part of the race did you think that was possible?
It was probably one incident. I don't remember who it was. I think it was when Kenny spun and collected a couple of more guys with him. So yeah, me and I think it was Pyro just like got cleared out of everything, basically all of the traffic in front. And from there it was just to probably hunt down Nathan and the hard runners, and from there I really thought I could have a win if I just got Pyro and then Nathan. I thought this could be on, you know.
And what was your emotions when that second safety car came out? Because obviously you followed the rest of the guys in for the beating compound tyres, so tell us what your emotions were. You frustrated about with that one?
Yeah, to be honest, at first I wasn't happy because I knew my tyres would make it to the end, and I knew that the guys on mediums would struggle. So I wasn't too happy with it, and it wasn't nice double stacking every time as well, since Recify was in front of me for most part of the race as well. But at the end of the day it worked out, so I can't complain too much, I guess.
And on the final lap of that race, how did you feel, mate, with Nathan right behind? Did you think that you're going to be overtaken by Nathan in the last lap?
I wasn't sure, man, because it felt like he was pushing his ERS quite a lot on the lap prior to that, so I felt like he might have been out on the last lap, but then he really came with a charge on those final straights, so I got a bit worried that he'd actually get me on literally the final straight before crossing the line, but I got a good enough exit to still keep it, so yeah, it was good.
Nice to hear, mate. And at all in the race, did you ever expect to race with all this race? Did you ever think that was on the cards for you today when you first approached it?
No. Literally, it's so weird, man. But it's usually how it works for me. The races I expect to win the least and probably come prepared to the least are the ones I somehow manage to win. I don't know if it's because pressure is off and everything or whatever it could be, but I did not have any expectations whatsoever to even be up there fighting for a win. So I don't know. It just clicked, the setup and everything, and yeah, things just went my way, I guess.
Yeah, congratulations, mate. You did a fantastic job working your way out through the field as well, overtaking those guys on all the tyres and taking Nathan on as well for the lead of the race, and defending from him too on the final few laps of that race too. So that was incredible from you, and you should be very happy about that as well, because considering where you were down at P13 on that third last safety car, working your way up to P1, it was incredible. So congrats on that, mate. And choosing when to go on the tyres at the right time was crucial today, wasn't it? Because we had 3 safety cars. You had no idea what to do in that race, did you?
Sorry, what was that? I'm a bit tired. What did you say?
When every single safety car came out, you have no idea what to do during those situations, do you? Because you just don't know when the safety cars come out. When they do come out, you just struggle because you don't know exactly what the right strategy is, do you?
Yeah, exactly. But you still like, even though you don't really know, you still gotta like pick and choose a strategy and just like stick to that. So if you decide to go to mediums, like you gotta trust your first instinct, and that's what I did every time the safety car came out. So it worked out pretty fine.
Congrats to you, mate. Fantastic drive from P13 to go back up to P1. And Scott, got any questions for Troy?
I suppose if I can add a little thing in, Troy, of course, you know myself, former Ferrari driver, you're in the mix with her there. Brilliant result in the result for the constructors tonight. That'll be really filling the camp. It's not much a question, I'm more just going to speak. But yeah, once again, like Jamie said, brilliant race from yourself tonight, mate. Both on a personal note and a constructor's note. And definitely, I mean, you're unlucky not to be a driver of the day. That just shows how good some of the performance were tonight. But to hold it together, to take P1 in a race like that, you had a little bit of everything. And yeah, congratulations once again, mate.
Thank you.
And has anybody else joined the commentary box? Nathan? I expected him to join. Is he here?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought Nathan and even Tony would have been, but no, Troy, our sole participant. So
You did invite them, didn't you?
I did. They're all in. They are here and ready. So
Let's
maybe
double
just
check.
both. While that goes on, we of course have got all the thrills and the fun of looking to next Monday for Tier 3 and Tier 4, and next Thursday for Tier 1 and Tier 2. Bear in mind, from what I'm hearing now, Tier 2, I don't know the exact results. We have 4 tiers here in CRL. It's the final round of 16. And there's only one title been decided. The little one claimed the Tier 3 title there on Monday night. Tier 4 sees a three-way battle by the looks of things into the final round. Tier 1 sees a two-way battle, and Tier 2, well, it was a 5 or 6-way battle going into the night. I'm not quite got the details of what it is going into next week, but it's going to be hectic on all channels, on all streams, and in every tier, so make sure to join us for them. Jamie, I'm not too sure if we're going to get our P2 or P3 in tonight. Both of them seem to be uncharacteristically camera shy, must be said.
Yeah, Tony's not afraid to have a chat as well. Be interested to see his points of view as well and how he feels about the championship. But we'll find out next week if anything happens. But Scott, mate, I just want to say it's been a massive pleasure to commentate alongside you once again, uniting after 2021 to be here again, and it's just been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you so much for joining me, and I couldn't have done it without you because I would have missed a lot too, because a lot went on in that race.
I hate the grace. Yeah, my normal position, main comms, Jamie, but I love co-commentating to you, my friend. You catch everything. You're so aware of so much. It's such a breath of, and this is no disrespect to me, but fresh air just to be able to pick out the little things that you try and miss, or don't try to miss, sorry, but that you manage to miss, and just pick them in and fill in the details. It's been an absolute pleasure. Maybe I need to get myself back down the divisions and get myself freed up again for a Thursday night for the coming seasons and get the dream team back together, mate. I have fond memories of that season, and tonight has really ignited that spark again, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, massive pleasure as always. And Stevan as well, hopefully you have a good recovery and be back with me next week, because you missed a lot, my friend, in this race, so hopefully you watch this race back and have a lot to talk about when we reunite once again next week, hopefully, because I know you're suffering at the moment, so get well soon. And next time we're streaming is Tier 3 on Monday. Join me back with Glowstick at 7:30 for the Belgian Grand Prix. Can George Hargreaves finally get his first win of the season? He's been trying to do that for the 5 past times. And join me back for Tier 1 with me and Stevan next Thursday at 8:30 for the last Grand Prix at the Spa GP in Belgium. So can't wait for that one. But before I go, just want to say a massive thank you once again, Scott.
Always a pleasure, Jamie. Just on that as well, make sure once you're finished up watching Jamie 7:30 on Monday night, click across to the Tier 4 stream. I'll be live with our very own Tier 1 driver Leroy for the Tier 4 finale, and then a big shout out to our Tier 2 boys Jonathan and Rob, who will be kicking off the Thursday night entertainment next Thursday at 7:30. But yeah, Jamie, thanks for having me. Thank you to everybody that's tuned into the stream. Have a wonderful rest of your evening from me, and I'll pass you over to Jamie to say the last of the evening.
I think you've covered it much there, but have a good week.
I've stole the thunder. That's the main commentator coming out of me there, Jamie. Apologies for that.
Yeah, no need to apologise. It's always a pleasure. But I just want to say, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Imola Grand Prix next week as well. Next weekend, not this weekend, because obviously it's a 2-week break after a disappointing Miami Grand Prix. But hopefully we have some good racing in Imola. And that's it from me. And I'll see you all next Monday at 7:30. Make sure you tune in with me and Glowstick for the final race of the season for Tier 3, as Little One was crowned champion last time out on Monday.